This morning, our message is Tetze and Mauricio Quintero. Thank you, Mauricio, for the beautiful message we're about to hear. The parrot is green wherever it is, even if it doesn't want to be. This week's parasha, Tetze, which means when you go out, contains the most mitzvot, the most commandments in the Torah, specifically 74, all dealing with everyday life. They are a moral and ethical compass for how the Creator expects us to act in the face of pressure, which we will all experience at some point. It begins with the soldier's need for self-control over his sexual impulse toward a beautiful woman taken captive as spoils of war, common at the time of the Torah, at the time the Torah was written. Although modern times may have changed our perception of this issue, the Torah should now be more relevant to all humanity than ever. We saw in the October 7th massacre how Hamas raped captive women and humiliated them. It's more than sad to see the standards of this progressive world, led by Greta Thunberg and her henchmen, who left Barcelona this past week for Gaza, how they defend these terrorists who not only raped them, but inflicted suffering on their victims, stripped them naked, murdered and mutilated them, using them as human shields, starved them, and separated entire families forever. I would love to see a caravan in support of the 90 captives who are still in the hands of Hamas. The Torah tells us, Israel, when you go to war, and one of your men sees and desires an attractive woman, he cannot behave like a beast. He must subdue his inner enemy and respect her, not only physically, but also psychologically, emotionally, due to the trauma and the loss she may have suffered. So he has to wait 30 days, reducing her attractiveness in order to control his animal nature. Then this parasha addresses the rights of the firstborn when there is more than one wife involved, and also how to deal with a rebellious son. Later, it addresses laws regarding respect for the dead and their burial, and continues with the return of lost objects, the welfare of a mother bird before coming to take her young, teaching compassion for animals as the Eternal's creation. It continues with the obligation of erecting security fences around the roofs of the houses, and deals with the various form of kilayim or shatnez, mixing certain plants and animals. It recounts judicial proceedings regarding divorce, marriage, widowhood, adultery, rape, seduction, and false testimony concerning adultery. It states that an Israelite may not marry a mamzer, a bastard, a Moabite, an Ammonite, an Edomite, or an Egyptian. Then it details the divine standard for commercial or economic dealings, such as the timely payment of workers' wages. It deals with purity in military camps, not handing over runaway slaves, and the laws regarding interest on loans. The commandments conclude by reminding us of what Amalek did to us as we left Egypt. But today I want to focus on a verse from our Haftorah portion in Isaiah 54:1. It says, "Sing, O barren one, you who did not bear a child." Although we know that it refers to Jerusalem, it also extends to many people inside and outside our community who feel that they are spiritually barren. That is, they have not yet seen the fruit of their relationship with the Eternal. The barren could be compared to those who continually try to produce life but cannot, or those who seem to fulfill certain mitzvot but feel that they bear no fruit, or generate no light by their actions. Or even those who do teshuvah, yet see no positive results in their lives and feel disappointed in their relationships, not only with themselves, with their families, and with God. The prophet calls upon those who feel stuck. Sing, O barren one, you who did not bear. But if we read it very carefully, the prophet is speaking to those who have not yet given birth and therefore are called barren. He does not say you who are. That is, your nature is to be barren, but rather because you think that you did not bear, that you are barren. So the verse should read, Sing, O barren one, you who did not yet bear. For example, when my wife was 10 years old, was she sterile because she hadn't given birth yet? Or did she have a physical defect? She may have been a sterile child with the potential to become an excellent mother at the right time. Her fertility was within her. The same thing happens to those of us who, over time, don't produce good fruit or think that our nature is to be sterile. I connected this verse with Isaiah 42:6. Ani Adonai, I, the Lord, have called you in righteousness and will strengthen your hand. Ani Adonai, keraticha v'tzedek, v'chazek biyadecha. What does this mean? Do you remember? Excuse me. Do you remember where those powerful words, Ani Adonai, I the Lord, first appear? Yes, it's the first commandment, in which we are to recognize that there is only one who we can call God. The first commandment. It's easy to say these words, but putting them into practice is quite another thing. Let's say I've been fired and I have no way to pay my bills. What happens inside me when I hear Ani Adonai? Or if my partner leaves me, what happens within me when I hear Ani Adonai? And although I study hard, I'm not getting good grades, and despite every effort, I don't understand anything. What happens inside me when I hear Ani Adonai? When I hear these words, Ani Adonai, it should resonate within the depths of my being that the Creator of all, God, is the one who allows these adverse situations to happen, and that He cares for me no matter the outcome perceived in my limited way, and that by trusting and believing in Him, I know that He will work everything for my good. How many successful businesses have emerged because someone failed in their previous ones? How many entrepreneurs have emerged because they had been laid off? How many healthy families have emerged from a divorce or a breakup? By trusting in His promise, Ani Adonai, I am placing my hopes and my life in the Creator of life, knowing that He will work all things for good. It continues with, I called you in righteousness. When God speaks to us in righteousness, it's not just a term for legal uprightness. It provides us with the way to approach God and respond to His call by walking uprightly, by living with order, and by being faithful to His covenant. That means His 10 Commandments, that His 10 Commandments given to us at Mount Sinai. In practical terms, we walk in righteousness when we act according to the commandments that He has given us to live a full life. If we do not live or practice righteousness, then we will not fulfill our calling. As a result of being called and living the commandments, the prophet continues to affirm that he will work a miracle in us. It says, I will strengthen your hands. What does this mean? The idea conveyed by the hand is the power to act and the ability to work. It is God who will produce in us what Rav Shaul spoke of, the ability to will and the ability to do. Philippians 2, verse 13. A practical example, I have decided to live the commandment to not turn a blind eye to my neighbor's belongings, even if he is my enemy, even if he is my enemy, as we read in this week's parasha. To live it would be to obey it. That is, I do not ignore what belongs to another and abandon him. Strengthening my hand would be to take his belongings and hold on to them until I can hand them over in full. Then it says, I formed you, meaning God molds us for a specific purpose. For example, when a carpenter decides to make a chair, from the moment he shapes it, he thinks about the purpose of that chair. Is it for the outdoors? Then he has to form it with materials suitable for outdoor use. Is it for the beach? Then he needs to use materials that can withstand the sun, the heat, salt, and humidity. Is it for a child? Then it must be appropriate in size and comfort. I also note that the words I formed you, is a design that God made even before we were born. It happens the moment he decided to conceive us. From the moment we are born, we are already formed. The only thing that happens to us is that we uncover the divine's mind for our plan, the divine mind's plan for us. I have appointed you as a covenant for the people. That is, we are witnesses to the divine covenant, and therefore we can testify to the world that God is real. He says, as a light to the nations, la'or legoyim, meaning that from the moment we are born, we are light, regardless of how much we shine. How are we a light to others? By being an example of morality and ethics, by applying the divine values expounded in our parasha, which are justice, compassion, kindness, love our neighbor, keeping the covenant, the commandments, and living by these, his established commandments. I close with the following statements that we read in 21:14. You may not sell her for money or keep her as a slave. You may not give the son of the beloved the birthright over the son of the unloved. You may not ignore it. A man may not marry his father's wife. He may not uncover the corner of his father's robe. You may not return a slave to his master or seek refuge with you from his master. You may not put any of them in your basket, and he may not take her back as a wife. In all these may nots, I see a common denominator: our inability. We are incapable of certain voluntary acts, and God affirms it. If he had restricted these behaviors, he would have said, you shall not, you should not, it would not be right, and so on. But our inability arises from something embedded within us, from our upbringing that prevents us from consciously or unconsciously carrying out negative actions. There's something within us that prevents us from continuing to do the opposite of what the Torah instructs us to do. For example, if someone puts a gun in my hand and says, kill your son to save yourself, could I do it? From the physical standpoint, yes. I'm not impeded from pulling the trigger, but internally there would be such a strong resistance that I would prefer to be killed rather than to shoot my own son. Do you see? Isaiah 42, 6-7 says, I, the Lord, and the Adonai, have called you in righteousness and will strengthen your hand. I have formed you and appointed you as a people of my covenant, a light to the nations, to open the eyes of the blind, to bring out the prisoners from the dungeon and those who sit in darkness from prison. This is what the parasha is about. Our souls were already formed to be light, and thus we cease to be barren, that is, to bear much fruit, which would mean opening the eyes of the blind, freeing prisoners and those who dwell in the darkness of prison. From this, I connect the idea that I must remember what Amalek did, because I do not and cannot behave like them. And since they are opposite of what and who I am and of what I represent, I repeat, the parrot is green wherever it is, and a son of God will be a son wherever he is. Shabbat Shalom.